All right, Henry Finn here with Videography Academy. Super excited to talk about today how to save yourself when you've made a mistake. Now, these are the kind of things that I think is harder to come by in terms of knowledge. People share these types of stories less, but I thought this was a perfect example for y'all because this game is all about relationship building, relationship maintaining, and fulfilling on relationships. And so you have to constantly think about how you are being perceived and how you're conducting yourself. And I'm not perfect. I mean, I've made many mistakes. I continue to make them, in different areas. I have a temper. I'm too emotional. I take things personally, easily. And so those are things, some major things that I have to work on. But one thing that I have developed a skill in that has really been my saving grace is that I have learned to own up to my mistakes, to admit when I'm wrong, and to really devote an egoless analysis of my mistakes and really humble myself to try to learn and improve. And now the improving part comes in steps, to be honest, but the part that has to be consistent is the thoughtfulness, and really thinking about the things that you've done and are doing and how it's working out for you or not working out for you, and always how you can improve. And that does mean taking feedback from other people and things like that. Now, more specifically today, though, I want to talk about an instance where I was referred to a new potential client and by a friend and who I've worked with, and I fumbled the initial meeting over the phone really badly. I missed the call. Ugh. So we'll get to that. Let me walk you through the whole thing so you know the story. Okay, so basically, there's a guy that I've been working with, who I have been friends with for a long time, but he was in a position at a company to hire me to do some like event videos for a nonprofit. I did it to build the relationship, and these jobs were not really for big budgets at all. They're just more like to help you pay the rent and pay for food and things like that, in the end, in terms of the profit. Not that I'm complaining or anything. I'm just saying they're not like, it was for a nonprofit. You know what I mean? There was a couple where the money was pretty good, but overall they're definitely low budget compared to commercial stuff, obviously. But he has a lot of connections, and he works in a complementary field, in which he can refer me a lot of business, and he has referred me some good business outside of the nonprofit stuff. So, you know, he referred me this guy who is the CEO of a small startup, and he was consulting for that guy because he does like marketing type consulting, and advisory stuff, and this guy needs video, but this guy's bootstrapped. His company's bootstrapped. They raised some money, but they definitely don't have a lot of money, and they have that problem where a lot of startups have, where they got to figure out how to make their money work for them and get really outsized results for what they're investing. Now, basically, he introduced me to this guy. I'd like to introduce you to Henry, who runs Luminous. We worked on many projects together. We're just discussing the video needs for startups like yours. And if you need video work done in the Bay Area, Henry's your guy. Now, I basically introduced myself, said thank you, moved my friend to the BCC, talked to the CEO. I told him that I checked out the website. I'd love to talk with him a little more to get a sense of your needs and how I may be of service. Now, this is really important. This is in the beginning, so I'm going to walk you step by step through the whole process, right? I answered basically two sentences, because there's not much to say yet, right? And I just said, I checked out your website, so you let them know, hey, I have researched you at a basic level, And I would love to talk with you a little more to get a sense of your needs. Now, what I'm doing there is I am not offering anything. I am not telling him I'm going to do anything for him. I'm not offering a solution. I'm not jumping into a sale. I'm not trying to suggest anything, because in this game I've learned you always want to see all the cards first, as many cards as you can, before you say anything, right? This is really important. So, and also it's just better business because you can't promise anything, you can't suggest anything without knowing who they are and their situation. You gotta qualify them, right? So in the sales process, there's prospecting, finding the clients, but in this case, it was a referral, right? And then you move into the qualification phase where you get to know them, and then you figure out, where are they on the scale of ideal client or, not ideal client. And so basically, I just said I want to get a better sense of their needs and how I may be of service. That's how I ended it. When's your best availability to chat? How I may be of service. Now, again, I said it that way because it's like, hey, I'm here for you, and this is a service industry, so how may I be of service? And also, I think it's a little more humble that way, and also, I'm still not suggesting anything. Now, if they are coming to you and mentioning some sort of service or some product or whatever, you could give them a rundown about it or whatever, a package or something specific that they're interested in. But this is just like, a warm lead. It's an introduction. My buddy, let me know that, it's a young startup and they need help with the video, and, they don't have a ton of money, all this stuff. And in general, though, it's great practice to treat everybody equally no matter what. You don't want to favor somebody just because they're some big impressive brand or company, because first of all, when you force yourself to treat every lead the same, then it teaches you to avoid the ones that are going to waste your time, because you become much more sensitive. Because for me, what I realize is that I put pretty much the same amount of effort and time and attention in the small jobs that I do the big jobs. Right? Obviously, the big jobs require more time and resources, but what I'm saying is like the level of effort and the attention and the responsiveness and going the extra mile for the client is basically turns out to be the same. So I learned really, over time that that's good and bad, and it's good because it's good behavior, but it's bad because it can really screw up your revenue, because if you're spending a lot of time on somebody that's not very profitable, you're losing quality and delivery on other clients that have even bigger needs. And also on top of that, you are losing the opportunity to get more clients, okay, because you're spending time on ones that are not profitable. Any case, so we scheduled a call, so he answered, are you available for a quick 10-minute call Monday, Tuesday? We need a basic corporate explainer video for our SaaS product. We made a video this week. It's on the website. Let me know if you have critical feedback. We plan to make more such videos. We are a very early stage startup with tiny budget for marketing, so original video will probably be out our budget. Just video editing of stock videos and mostly just video screen captures of software actions will be all we can afford. So I like his style here, that he's basically saying what he thinks he needs. He's asking for feedbacks, which means he's open. He's saying that they plan on making more videos, which means that there's potential for more work. But then he goes right into the meat of it, which is that they're very early stage startup with a tiny budget for marketing. He used the word tiny budget for marketing, and so original video footage will probably be out of our budget. Totally understandable, totally reasonable for a company in his situation. The thing I like about the fact that he is saying this up front is that it helps me show me that he is conscious about the value of proper video, right? And how, because the worst type of client is when they want really big results on a tiny budget and they don't get it, that it's amazing to do that. Right? Like the ones that are clueless, like, well, why can't we just make it look like a Michael Bay movie and I got $100 for you? Like, I don't know. What Michael Bay movies are you watching? Not that anybody's ever said anything that ridiculous, but they will do that. They will show you a commercial that costs hundreds of thousands, $1 million commercial, and be like, "I have 1/1000th of the budget. Let's do it." Which, by the way, in that situation, I always let them know, when it comes to calibrating things properly with the client. If somebody does come to you with a budget that is totally unrealistic for what they want, you have to call them out gently, not in a way where you're taking it personally or angry. You just let them know. You say, "Hey, for the sample you showed me and for what you described that you need, your budget does not necessarily, meet the requirements to execute it at the level that you are showing. However," and this is where you always want to be solution oriented, here are what I think are the important parts of that sample video you sent me, and here's how we could achieve those goals of expression, at a cheaper budget. And here's the compromise, right? You always want to have a solution. And then, so he mentioned that, they got a tiny budget, and then they say, he kind of gives his idea of what it could be, which is just video editing of stock videos, mostly just video screen captures of software actions will be all we can afford. Now, that's true. That's all they can afford. And the thing is, those videos aren't very good. Right? Again, there's a minimum ratio of investment to quality, that you get on video production. Then he sends me another email right after. "Do you have a portfolio of SaaS/software explainer videos or demo videos, or is this not really your thing?" Now, this is very valid kind of challenge from him, because the website that he saw is mostly commercial production. It's not very tech oriented. So I basically said, "Hey, I could talk tomorrow anytime. I've done a ton of explainers. I have to dig them up since they're on the lower end of my usual work. Don't really put them on the site. I did Kport Capital's Impact Report Explainer recently, which is a fund that is respected. I sent them their website link. You can see older videos on our YouTube. Here's an Autodesk, some other things." So I basically linked some videos on my YouTube that has what he's asking for. "I am familiar with SaaS," and then I had to basically answer his kind of query directly, which is, "I am familiar with SaaS because I use them a lot. I have over 10 years experience working with startups exclusively, and you can see my startup focused company I'm rebranding right now and will be launching soon." And I sent him my work in progress website for my startup video marketing, which is a production company focused and marketing company focused just on videos for startups. Okay. And I said, "If you still want to chat tomorrow, let me know. I have dealt with many startups in your situation and can at least probably give you some insight. I don't really recommend using stock footage, even if you have a zero budget, because it signifies a lack of quality that your potential clients will perceive as less value. However, there are tricks you can do to make stock footage look better if indeed you do go that route. Let me know if you have any questions." So basically, he proposed to me that, to do on the cheap, his solution is, which, by the way, I talked with him, he's more knowledgeable than the average CEO. He's actually done video editing and things like that. So it kind of shows in the way he's trying to problem solve. And so basically, I let him know, again, I addressed directly that I understand his SaaS products. I understand startups. I basically let him know I've worked with many startups. And then I respond to his note about the stock footage explainer video. Now, I said I don't really recommend just using stock footage, even if you have a zero budget, because it signifies a lack of quality that your potential clients will perceive as less value. Now, this is very true. If you ever see in a video that's just stock footage edited together, it just doesn't jive. Even when the shots are good, it just, there's no soul. It's funny how human beings can really tell when something is real or not, when there's real intention. For instance, when I email people, even if it's an email I have to send to a lot of people, like let's say a marketing email or just like getting to know you kind of email with my audience, I type it out every time. I might have like maybe some, if I'm going to know I'm going to be sharing links or things, I'll copy and paste that or whatever. But when I'm talking with somebody in an email, I literally take the time to just write to them as a human being to another human being. And I feel like even if I'm saying a lot of the same message over and over again, I feel like you can feel that it's real. I don't know. Maybe it's just in my head, but if you ever got an email from me, let me know if it felt real or not. You know what I mean? Um, Anyways, so I basically I didn't want to get into the stock footage game because here's the thing: stock footage can be expensive really quickly. I've tried to do things where you use stock footage, and it gets pricey or the quality is really terrible. And so, but more importantly, if they're a company, if there's a SaaS product, and I looked at their website, that means they're dealing with big companies, right? They want big contracts. These contracts are worth, 4 to 5 figures for sure, and at least, right? And so, if a company is going to decide to spend like tens or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars with you, they don't want to see your stock footage video. Even if they can't articulate it, they know that is basically the bottom rung of types of videos that you can get. I mean, I guess the bottom rung is something automatically generated, by like a fake, like a weak AI or something like that, like the software they're trying to figure out. But I mean, as of the moment, a good video needs attention. That's why there's an industry of videography, right? That's our job. And so I just let them know honestly. And the reason why I did that is because whenever a customer or potential client signals to you, what their idea or vision is, and relation to a budget or a range or something, if they are not in line with what you think reality is, and you don't check them immediately and at every turn that you have to, in a pleasant way, but you will lose. You will lose money. You will lose profit. You will lose your damn sanity. Okay? I've so many times in, my career, and especially in the beginning, I just took every deal I could, any deal, any client, and you need that when you're growing, right? You're hungry, but once you kind of get past the initial, like, I need to build my portfolio phase, like when you're building your portfolio, whatever, all the pain in the world, you better just take it, okay? But once you have a portfolio and you know you're worth money and you kind of know your value, when you just take any deal that comes, these people can really screw with your bottom line, and they limit your growth. They limit your, earning potential, and it can make you unhappy. So I noticed that always came, the key ingredient there to being an unhappy videographer is agreeing to a sucker's deal. Okay? Because if the client has one idea of the ratio of quality versus budget, and you have a different idea, and you don't communicate that, but you take the money, you're the sucker. Okay? 9 times out of 10. And the reason why is because they're going to ask you to do a bunch of stuff that's not within the scope. You haven't set the boundaries, so there are no boundaries, so they're going to trample all over you. And you're going to get really upset. You're going to be upset with yourself and upset with them. So, again, I told them straight up. I said I don't really recommend using stock footage. Okay? Just stock footage. Even if you have a zero budget. And then here's the other part. Okay, this is how I close it out. Because when you don't know somebody, you don't know a client, and you say something that could be perceived as a negative or a Debbie Downer or a Delta, as some people say it, never finish a sentence or paragraph or statement without ending on a high note. And the high note is your idea or solution or suggestion, or something positive, right? So anytime you're like, hey, here's a problem, but here's a potential solution, you always want to end on the up, okay, when you're talking to clients. Okay? Now, sometimes that means you have to do real work to figure out what the solution is, so you have to be careful when you open your mouth. But in this case, I'm going with the flow, and he's already, said something to me that I think is a red flag, and I call it out immediately. But then I say, however, there are tricks you can do to make stock footage look better if indeed you do go that route. So what I'm saying there is, I'm not saying a hard no. Never say a hard no to a client that you haven't even met, you haven't talked with. Okay, you don't know their temperament, you don't know what's going on in their head. You might close the sale without even knowing it. I mean, like, close it in a bad way, close the door to the sale. So I never just say no, right? I mean, you want to, it's their money, and in the end, they could decide to do it still if they want. And so it's just your job to try and give them, the best advice and then execute on what you're supposed to execute, or what you agree to execute. So, I say, hey, positive solution. There are tricks you can do to make stock footage look better if you indeed go that route. So I'm, leaving it open for him to decide, but hey, here's the solution. And I didn't tell him what the solution is because I need him to get on that phone with me, right? So I basically, and also I don't want to offer a solution until I've talked with them, because it's got to be specific to them how it's communicated. But the idea I had was, well, you could just get templates off Envato or whatever, which are transitions, titles, where you could just drop in stock footage and then make the presentation better, through motion graphics, right? At least that would be better, and it would still be cheap, right? So there's a solution. Now, so then he says, so here's where the part where I almost screw this up. We schedule an appointment, and I have the calendar, invite on my phone. I remember that I have a call that day, and then I get really absorbed in some project, and then I miss the call. So he sends me a message. Hi, Henry, still available for the call. Saw you accepted the calendar invite. In the room now. Should we reschedule? Ugh. Now, the sucky part is the call was supposed to be from 4 to 4:20, and I saw his email at 4:20. So I completely missed it. But I was a little bit disoriented, so I thought I was only like, not only, but I thought I was like maybe 10 minutes late. So I said, hey, I'm in. Can you hear me? He doesn't answer. He can see my message, right? If he's literally was just in the chat and sent me a message, he's seeing my response, right? So I'm like, okay, I screwed this up. So then I look like an idiot too, because not only I'm saying, oh, I'm in, can you hear me? I don't realize that I'm messaging him at 4:21. A minute after this thing's supposed to be over. So it's like, what are you, stupid? So then I send him a message immediately. I say, hey, super apologies, sir. My phone was on silent and I missed my notifications. I could be available anytime you want. Now, this is pretty weak. The thing is, when I realize I screwed up, you have options, right? So you can say nothing. You can apologize. You could apologize with an explanation, or you could try to make an excuse. Now, I want to tell you the difference between an excuse and an explanation, which is that when you're explaining yourself, you are still taking responsibility for what happened. When you're excusing yourself, you're trying to excuse, to shift the responsibility so that it's not on you. Okay, now this is a very fine distinction, and a lot of people miss that. So, but that's very important, for me, on how I conduct myself, is that I don't make excuses, or I try not to, because in the end, in my head, I'm always like, well, I'm gonna have to take responsibility for this. But if you want to know what happened, here's what happened. So in this situation, I decided not to make up some stupid story to try and save my face. However, first of all, people don't like that you miss a meeting. That's a terrible way to start. That's not professional, especially for a potential client. It's just dumb, right? And then I just told them what happened, and it's not very, it's definitely not an excuse, because saying my phone was on silent and I missed my notifications is not, it's not, it's pretty weak. I mean, you should not be missing your notifications if you know you have a meeting. That's what I would think. I was just being honest. I just literally said what happened. And again, I know it wasn't pleasing to him, I'm sure, because he didn't respond, right? So he didn't even answer my emails. None of them. I sent him two emails. He didn't respond. So at that point, I'm like, oh man, I just burned this one. And it's bad because, again, it's a referral from my buddy and I got to make him look good. So I'm like, oh, I can't believe it. I burned this like an idiot. So I waited about 3 days, I think, because I didn't want to send it right away. And I thought about it for a second. And then I sent him this email. My apologies for the bad start by missing our call. That's totally on me and won't happen again. In any case, I decided to do some deeper digging and thought into your company. Here are my general thoughts if you're looking for a super low budget explainer for your business. Okay? So I start off apologizing again, and I call myself out. Now, this is a very important part of owning your mistakes, having, extreme ownership, all that stuff. You got to be really, really transparent. And the reason why I called myself out is that I wanted to say what he's thinking. Because then he's going to trust me more because he knows that when I make a mistake, not only am I going to call myself out, but I am acknowledging, that we're on the same page. Right? Which is really important because that's how you learn from your mistakes and move forward. So I said my apologies for the bad start by missing our call. And I took responsibility. That's totally on me and won't happen again. So I just added that because it's like, hey, I'm not going to let that happen again. So he knows that, hey, I'm respecting his time. I'm, learning from my mistakes and it's this thing that is just not going to be an issue in the future. Because if this is an issue and we don't work together, that's a terrible reason to not be able to work together. Now, here's where the strategy comes in. I basically, because apologizing is apologizing. But I could apologize and leave it there, and then he could just be like, okay, well, yeah, that's fine, but see you later, And so I was like, how am I going to get him back on the hook? So, the best strategy in many situations is to just provide value. So I was like, look, even if he decides to never answer me again, I'm going to at least try to leave with some value. Okay, so I said I did some deeper digging and thought into your company. And then I said, here are my general thoughts for a super low budget explainer. And again, this is going cold off of not knowing, really having any call with him, right? This is just speaking in terms that would be useful for a lot of companies in his situation. But I put in bolds to start. I said, assuming that your goal is to use the video to get interest from potential customers or convert interest into leads. So I'm basically saying, this is my thesis, is that if your goal is to use video to get interest from potential customers or convert interest to leads, then here's what I'm going to recommend for you. Okay? And I said, you will need your video to, and I did bullet points, get their attention, speak to their problems, offer a solution, explain why you stand out, and a clear call to action. Okay? I just gave them basically the 5-point structure for any standard marketing video. Okay? It's not rocket science, but it's not rocket science that impresses people. What it is somebody who's experienced is able to quantify key points in a streamlined manner. So taking what is confusing and then making it into something that's clear. So I basically just broke down the video structure. Again, it was get their attention, speak to their problems, offer a solution, explain why you stand out, and a clear call to action. Okay, you could apply that to any company in almost any type of situation if it's not entertainment, if it's educational or marketing, branding related. Then I explain myself deeper. I say, I would think of the video in terms of full stack process. Now, full stack is a term that's used in the startup world where, let's say you're a full stack developer, like you can do the whole process from beginning to end. Now in video, full stack would be coming up with creative ideas, executing on the creative ideas, and then also having the strategy and execution for the distribution, whether it's organic or paid. But I want him thinking in big picture first, okay? And this is also part of my philosophy. And when you're selling solutions, you're selling a system that provides a solution for your client, okay? No matter what industry you're in, what your niche is, who you're serving, remember that what you are selling, how you're going to close more deals, is they got to feel like you have a system that is going to help create a solution for their problem. The system is the solution, okay? Now, that obviously comes in from experience, or you could just use what I'm saying, what I'm teaching you, and apply it, and you'll see how magical it is. Now, the video is simply part of the outreach or attention gathering, so I would make sure that the landing page reflects the info from the video in clear detail. The reason why I say that is because what I've learned is it doesn't matter what video you made. If their landing page sucks, it's not going to convert, and they're going to blame you. So I gotta call that out immediately. A lot of companies, when they try to hire you for video, they only think about the video, and then they think about, if they even think about the distribution or the landing page that affects distribution and conversion and all that stuff. If they even think about it, they're thinking about it as somebody else is going to do that. Now, whether or not somebody else does that, if you're the one to call it out and mention that this is part of success, right? Necessary requirements to be successful with the video, wow, you're going to look like an expert, because you're going to be saying things that other people aren't. You're revealing insights and a depth into your thought process that other people just aren't, because other people are just stopping at like, oh, you need a cool video, it's going to help you. That's how I used to sell it. But what happened was I wouldn't have repeat customers in the beginning. I'm like, why am I not having any repeat customers? I'm like, oh, because they make a video and they think it's their magic bullet, and then it does nothing for them. So they're like, I don't need video. What is video? That's a waste of money. Now, the landscape has changed where everybody does understand that video is the most important form of marketing, and especially they are realizing it. But back in the day, I mean, it was hard, because they didn't have all this effective like Facebook ads and things that are giving them a return. In any case, a lead magnet such as an offer for a case study or report that would speak to your target client is a great call to action at the end. Now I'm giving them another tip. I'm saying, hey, the video is leading to the landing page, and the landing page has to have something enticing, and then you're going to capture their email, right? So I offer them a case study or report. This is very classic. This also goes to the product ladders and that I teach in my course. You know what I mean? So, and if you don't know what a product ladder is, just Google it. Google product ladder. But then you want to think about how product ladders apply in your situation. You can do this with stock footage if you want, going back to what he mentioned before, but you will need a good script because the script is everything. The copywriting becomes very important. Apple did, for example, have an entire campaign based pretty much on only text. Parentheses, imagine how much money they saved, LOL. And I hyperlinked this campaign, which if you just Google Apple Don't Blink, it's a campaign where they're basically just doing text typography to a beat, right? And then some product shots and stuff. Very easy, but the storytelling is well done, well made. And so I equate that to a low budget campaign that they could emulate. So then I say you could, for instance, have text and then images that are flashes of stock footage relevant to your industry. So I'm taking his idea and I'm improving it. I'm giving him value because I'm taking his idea and I'm improving it, okay? And I'm offering a concrete example to a company that they definitely respect and that did something that they can strive for. So that's so much value, right? So another thing I want to say that's important is as you're going about your days and you're doing your research, you need to get in the habit of saving links to stuff that you see that correlate to things that can be important to your future customers. You got to get good at that. Save it. Just have some sort of digital notepad or wherever, Google Keep or Apple Notes, or I use Microsoft OneNote. Save your links. I had Evernote before. Point is, save your links, because the worst thing is when you're like, there's this one video that's perfect for you and you can't find it. Okay, you lose an opportunity to shine. And shining, The Shining, the not Jack Nicholson version, when you shine bright and people think that you're amazing, it's because you're a little bit more organized than the next person, right? You're a little bit more clear in what you say, and you have stuff to back it up. So then I say I would avoid making it obvious that you have a stock footage commercial, because they are easy to look cheesy and canned, and the quality of your video sends subtle indicators to your clients as to the strength, quality, and taste of your company. Now, this is the crux of it. This is basically my theory on why you have to avoid stock footage and think harder. Is that, number one, I don't want him to hire me for a stock video commercial. I'm here to try to excel as a company, and I want to work with people that will allow me to do that. So even if they have no budget, I'll take the challenge and think of how do I make something exciting for no budget. So again, I just basically say, that my theory, which I've always told people, and nobody has disagreed, by the way. It doesn't matter if you're talking to a pizza store owner or a jewelry maker at a convention, or a Fortune 500 company. When you say to them, look, the quality of your video, it basically gives your clients the idea as to your quality as a company. And the reason why everybody agrees is because it's true. When somebody has a slick looking product, you assume that there's something about that company, that they got more resources or more experience or more mojo that gives them this quality that these other people don't have. Even in the age where startups are, doing lots of low budget content that's effective, they will still also spend money on the commercial stuff when they have it. Okay? So if you have a low budget, you want to make it more elegant and interesting as opposed to stiff and what they expect. For a growing company like yours, regardless of the budget, the impression you create through the creative work you make is essential to determining the difference in your ROI on content. So I'm telling him, look, for a small company, it's even more important for you to make a good impression. And that's done through the content that you create, the quality of it, and that impression determines the type of ROI you get. So you could spend, $500 on a stock footage commercial and get no responses, or you could spend like $2,000 on something that's a little bit more well packaged, and you can get even one client would be better because it'll pay for all of it. This is how I close out. I say, in any case, I hope that's somewhat helpful. Thought I would put some time into it for you, and I'm happy to reschedule a call with you if you have any questions. In parentheses again, I say, and I definitely won't miss it. Cheers, Henry. Now, so he answers the next day. He says, hey Henry, thanks for sharing the video. Love it. Could almost make this video in PowerPoint. Haha. How about 9 a.m.? Boom. Saved the relationship. Okay, so I just want to walk through this process again. I got a referral from a person that I want to make sure that they look good, whether I work with this client or not. What I don't want is the person to go back to him and be like, hey, he missed our call, and so I never talked with him again. That's going to kill my referrals, right? When I messed up, not being on the call, then I responded with value and personalization. I gave him ideas. I gave him examples that expand upon my ideas, right? I gave him a breakdown of how the video should work in terms of the structure. And then I gave him additional feedback based on the things he said. And I painted a bigger picture for him, which is talking about the whole process, in the fact you need a landing page or lead magnet, etc. So I just really tried to show him via email that, hey, I got a lot here for you that is valuable. Again, you want to find out more. You want to get on the call. So that's really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to first acknowledge my mistake, acknowledge that we can move forward and it won't happen again. And then I provided value at no additional, I just said, let's reschedule a call. All right. So hopefully that was helpful for you, and hopefully I provided some value. Again, this is the type of content that not a lot of people are talking about. So if it was valuable for you, then, please subscribe to my channel, because I'm just starting it. So I would love that. The podcast is going great, but I just didn't have the time for the YouTube, and now I'm gonna make it, because it's 2020, y'all, and we gotta get this education out there everywhere. And thank you. Cheers. What's up, everybody? Thanks so much for checking out my channel. And if you haven't already gone to the website, head on over there, videographyacademy.com. Tons of cool stuff there. Definitely some interesting content and freebies. But I definitely want to call attention to the Videography Business Blueprint. Now, we have an actual free version that you should check out. It's not the $1,500 course, but it is definitely a full course, on its own. It's completely free, and you can see here that there's a lot of chapters. There's a lot of content here to go over. It's all super valuable. It's definitely part of the full blueprint. And just this course alone, if you've never taken a business course in videography, is going to be like everything you need. In fact, I recommend most people to start off with the free one, because if they find value in that, then they know that there's value in the other products. So in any case, you're going to learn like the building blocks of success, mentality wise, the actual business model, how to calculate your rates, how to double your income, how to manage your 9-to-5 if you have one. A lot of people are transitioning, how to pick your niche, things that are really valuable like product ladders, how to do surveys, all about branding, how to set up your business. The assets you need, how to make your website look good, your demo reel, and then the most valuable stuff, which is like the sales process. And this whole thing is a mini sales course, on its own again. And we have marketing, project management, client management. Again, this is definitely hands down the best free course on the business of videography that you're going to find anywhere. This is me throwing down the gauntlet and being like, yo, I dare you guys to give this much valuable content for free. And that's what I'm doing, because I want to be the best. So in any case, check it out. You can go to courses.videographybusinessblueprint.com. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up anywhere you want. Social media, all that good stuff. Thank you.